Hi everyone. This is a very random video. I have no idea actually what I'm even going to talk about. But today I did jury duty for the first time. I am going to be 39 years old, and this is the first time that I went in for jury duty. The reason for that is that I'm usually in school, or at least I have been usually in school when I would get summoned for it. And I was able to get out of it because my employer doesn't compensate me for it, which is fine. But thankfully, the state of New Jersey will be like, yeah, okay, fine. You know, financial hardship, we get it. So, but I went in today and I actually did it. I almost got picked. I almost got picked to be on a like a multiple day trial, a criminal trial. Thankfully, I did not get picked. I got excused from it for financial hardship reasons. And those being, you know, like I just said, my employer doesn't compensate me for it, so I have to use my own personal vacation time to even attend jury duty, which I was even doing that today. When I was doing jury duty, it was a vacation day for me, which is great. That's how I want to spend my vacation days, you know, go into jury duty. But it was interesting thinking about who I was in relation to other people and in relation to such an official system like the judicial system. And what I mean by that is, you know, you're representing yourself, you're standing before a judge, and you know, I'm an honest person, so I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna say in context to some of these questions to see if they want me or not on this jury. So that was interesting. You know, I'm trying to think of all the things I could bring up, that not to bring up on purpose to be a jerk, because I don't play like that, but I'm not gonna be dishonest either. So, you know, like because at some point they ask you, they try to get in some of the who are you as a person, you know, like your job, where you live, who you live with, do you have kids, blah blah blah, what are your hobbies, you know, because they want to find out what kind of a person you are, to kind of demographic you fit into, to see if you may or may not be somewhat prejudiced or biased in regards to the trial, you know, because they want you to be impartial or impartial, one of those. And it's interesting because, like, you know, I want to be honest about how I was approaching it. And they had like a preliminary questionnaire that you went through, and if, you know, the pretty much was to see if you say yes to anything. And I did say yes to a few things, you know, the financial hardship issue, because they asked. Have you ever been a victim of a crime? Which I have. You know, a couple years back, my car had been broken into while at work, because I don't work in the most safest of towns. But my car had been broken into, you know, the window smashed, the dashboard completely ripped apart, just to get to my stereo, which wasn't a big fancy stereo, but it was an aftermarket stereo. It wasn't the stereo that came with the car itself. It was one that I bought so I could listen to my iPod in the car. And stupid me got in the habit over the years of leaving the face of the stereo on the stereo. So, you know, if your face can come off of that stereo, take it off. You'd be better off. But I just left it on, and, you know, one day I didn't have a stereo anymore, and I had to get the car fixed because I didn't have a passenger side window, I didn't have a dashboard. It was a mess. It was a mess. But so I've been a victim of a crime. And the third question was a little bit more relevant to the trial itself, so I'm not going to tell you what the third question was. Thankfully, I didn't have to go into that, because what you do is, once your number gets called, when you're in the process of actually being picked for a jury, you know, your number will get called. At least this is how they were doing it where I'm at. And then you approach the bench, just you, and then the two lawyers from either side approach the bench with you, and you talk to the judge one-on-one. They play a white noise, or rather they run a white noise machine to help cut the conversation down from being heard by anybody else. But you can sometimes hear what the judge is asking. And I think the thing that sparked this video was one of the questions that I didn't get asked, but I heard other people get asked. I heard the judge asking other people this question. So I was like, what do I say to this question? And that question was, do you feel that the judicial system is fair, is just and fair? You know, something along those lines. And I was just like, what do I do? Do I just lie and say yes? Just to save face, to save conflict, to, you know, to not stir the pot, to not be that person who causes a slight wrinkle in the day. Not, you know, I'm sure the judge has heard everything, because that's what the judge does. That's what he does. He has to deal with people all the time, so I'm sure nothing is new to this person. He even said so. He's like, you're not gonna surprise me. He was a really cool judge, really level-headed, very calm and direct. So it was good. You know, as far as that goes, you know, you don't want some asshole behind the bench who's going to give you a hard time and make you feel really intimidated and extra nervous. Well, I wasn't asked that question, you know, if I thought the judicial system was fair, but I had an answer to it, just in case. And my answer would have been mostly fair. I would have said mostly fair. And the reason, and some of the reasons that popped in mind, just for quick reference in case I need to kind of back up my feelings on the matter, just in case. The first thing that popped in mind was the West Memphis Three. And I'm not even going to go into it because I don't know all the details, but they got wrongly convicted of murder. 3 teenage boys got wrongly convicted of murder, if you haven't heard about this. And for to make a long story short, well, there were documentaries about the whole case because it was just a travesty of justice. If you haven't heard about them, damn it, look them up right now. Right now. Okay, this is America. That case was such utter bullshit. You're a witch. You're an occult person. You need to fucking know who the West Memphis Three are. If you don't know who they are, look them up either right now or right after this video. Okay? Please. Do me that favor. Do yourself that favor. Okay? Do your friends that favor. If your friends don't know all about it, because it's kind of gone on the underground a little, because just from the passing of time, there's probably more and more people who don't know who the West Memphis Three are. And if you're a witch, you're an occult person, you're a magic person, you better fucking know who they are. Okay? So, you know, the West Memphis Three popped into my head. They were an example of the justice system failing tremendously. Another one that popped in my head, and I don't know the specifics on it, but I just remember word of it, was a judge being paid, being bought to incarcerate people in order to fill the prison system. Because, you know, the whole for-profit prison crap, this judge was being paid off by maybe a specific prison, maybe the warden. I don't know the specifics of it, but a judge was allegedly being paid to fill the prison system. But it was just one of those things that popped in my mind. So if that question had come up in front of the judge and I was asked if I thought that the justice system was fair, I was going to say mostly fair. And I would bring up the judge who was bought out. And I would definitely bring up the West Memphis Three.